Welcome to the Frontline Innovation Podcast, the voice of problem solvers. Innovation isn't just about ideals. It's about dismantling the barriers that stand between people and the solutions they actually need. This is where real human problems collide with real-world constraints, where innovators don't chase hype. They study people, break problems apart, and build solutions that actually work. Because the hardest part of innovation isn't creating something new. It's building useful fixes to people's problems and getting it into their hands. Each episode, we go inside that journey with leaders, designers, builders, and problem solvers doing the hard, often invisible work of making innovation real. I'm your host, William Reed. Let's get to work dismantling human problems. Today, on the Frontline Innovation Podcast, I'm joined by Bob Hart, a technical go-to market leader with more than 20 years of experience helping enterprise technology companies turn complex products into clear, trusted market narratives. Bob has worked across field CTO leadership, technical evangelism, channel strategy, systems engineering, support leadership, and executive-facing GTM roles in areas like infrastructure, cloud, IT operations, data, cybersecurity, and enterprise software. What makes Bob's perspective so valuable is his ability to connect product depth with field confidence, partner repeatability, executive buyer trust, and customer clarity. Across companies including EMC, NTP Software, Penzura, and Device 42, Freshworks, Bob has seen how technical clarity can shape sales execution, partner success, acquisition value, and market trust. Today, through Successfulbob LLC, he advises technical companies on GTM narrative, executive messaging, field readiness, partner enablement, and event strategy. In this conversation, we'll explore why technical clarity is not just messaging, it's part of how enterprise value is created. We now have liftoff, Houston. We're now into the wonderful world of innovation on the front lines.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, so I would like to...
I literally love it. My whole business is helping people that are doing innovation on the front lines. I'm committing my entire career to it. So happy to be on.
Well, I love it too, because when I first started thinking about an idea for a new podcast, it was like, okay, we talk about the technology aspects of all the new inventions we have, all the new technology, but sometimes we don't give enough attention to the people who are involved on both sides. You know, those. Sure. So I said, let's get some focus to it. So I created this idea of frontline innovation, which is really looking at the problem, the solution, and all the systems around it, and how they interact with each other. And just ask a simple question. Got a problem? You went out in the marketplace, you maybe bought a product or a service or some type of experience. Did it fix your problem? Like simple question, right? And when you think about it, there's a lot of people around the world who are buying stuff and it's not solving their problems. So I said, you know what? We need to put more emphasis on this and make sure, one, we identify the right problem, we develop the right solution, but then more importantly, make sure what? We got to make sure the person who has the problem is aware the solution's there and then actually use it. So now all of a sudden we got all these different aspects on this journey because you go to somebody's house and look at their shelves and you see all these things sitting out there and they have solution A, B, C, and D. Shelfware. Like, oh man. So this is I said, let me call.
You just talked about enough stuff for a 4-hour podcast, though.
That's what I got. In this, I
think do 6. Yeah. Silly me, I thought it was 45 minutes.
Yeah. But I always like to kick off the podcast talking about just your experience with something in your life, product or service, something you love, like, or you're kind of on the fence on.
I was thinking about this and I kept coming back to this one thing and it felt kind of silly to me. But the more I thought about it, the more relevant it became. Um, and the thing I want to talk about is heated seats within a car. And it seems superfluous. It seems like a luxury. It seems like it's not a necessary problem to solve. And it's a small segment of people who would take advantage of it. And it's not even the entire year that they would take advantage of it. And it's just a feature, it's a nice to have. But it is a decision maker for me up in New England.
Heated seats.
So, yeah, when it comes to heated seats, it seems like a luxury feature. It seems like something that you would certainly not go to market to try and solve. It's not like, wow, what we have is a pandemic of cold butts. Um, but for this cold butt in the middle of winter in New England, it does become the decision maker, and it becomes a decision maker even when there's a trade-off involved.
Yeah.
So I have a Jeep has 4-wheel drive. It has all the safety things you would want. It also is paired to my phone. So I get to listen to whatever music I want. I can take calls. All of these are wonderful features. But when I'm cold and I'm getting out of bed and my option is going into a cold Jeep or stealing my wife's minivan
Oh,
that has the heated seats, I'm picking the minivan. Even though it's not paired to my phone, I don't get my music. I don't have the cool status of a Jeep. Instead, I'm just trolling around in, an Odyssey, but my butt is warm. I also have a 13-year-old son. I help in our youth group at church, and he brings his 13-year-old friend with him. So we got 2 middle school boys. And when it's time to go to youth group, they ask what car I'm taking. And the answer has to be the Odyssey. And then they fight to see who gets the front seat on the way to youth group and who gets the front seat on the way back. So it is 100% the decision maker on whether or not we have heated seats in 6 months of the year in New England. And so that's an interesting one for me because it wasn't the problem people were trying to solve, right? Nobody said, I'm going to design a car around heated seats. But at the end of the day, it's a feature that is the decision maker for a large portion of the year for a portion of the audience. And I think that the reason that that's important is that latter part you were talking about, which is how do people know that the solution exists? How do they become educated on it? Once they get it, how do they actually utilize it? How do they make sure it's not becoming shelfware? It's hard for a car to be shelfware, but it does happen. And that whole aspect of it, I think, is really big. It's fundamental to what I do because I sit in the world on the marketing side. So I have worked at different startups. I have worked from that, customer zero all the way up to getting acquired. So I've seen all the different kind of versions of that. But ultimately, what I've become passionate about is the marketing side, which is how do you turn a feature into business value, into a story? And then how do you kind of map that to the different roles that buy it? Now, when it comes to heated seats, that's easy. You target New England, you target Midwest, you say, is your butt cold? Here you go. That's heated seats. But that does become a lot harder when you're talking about some of these real strong technical solutions that people are building, which is on the front lines of innovation. Because what I've found is it typically comes from these people that have enough pain and they couldn't find a solution, and so they built one. So I really like those technical founders, the engineer founders that have a great solution, but they might not be able to educate the market. The market might not know that it exists. They don't know how to find it. And then when they do find it, maybe this engineer doesn't know how to talk to people that doesn't look exactly like them, right? If they don't look like an engineer, I might not be able to communicate with you. So it's a beautiful subject to be talking about. And it's really easy to get passionate around because people have great solutions and people deserve to know that they exist. So I think this is a great podcast.
You brought up a whole lot of fascinating aspects to this. I'm thinking the competitor who comes out with the Odyssey, the next version, they had 4 heated seats. That means you, your son, and his friend can all be comfortable.
You've just taken friction out of my life.
So your son don't have to fight with the friend. Everybody can be happy there.
Because now backseat is the second class citizens for sure. But they do have the fold down movie. So they can watch a screen, they can watch movies, and the front seat doesn't get to. So do you want a warm butt or a warm heart? Those are your options.
So now we're getting into these trade-offs here. So you're designing this cool solution. You got a couple features over here.
This just became a Honda Odyssey podcast.
Now, you're thinking, well, that's the physical world. So maybe in the digital world, it should be easy to make it easy to add the extra features like some type of heated functionality, TV in locations that can be digitally put there. So that brings up a lot of different options. And then, of course, when you talk about timelines and costs, you can start to see more and more trade-offs. But I like the salesperson who comes in and say, hey, I see that your wife is cold in the wintertime. This is the car for you. You're like, what?
And you're like, wrong. It's a car for me.
Yes. I love that.
My wife can sit at home. I can go drive.
And so it would behoove the person who's making the product to keep you as a lifetime customer. So maybe I can do feature 1 today. Maybe in a couple of years when you have to maybe trade it in, you can do another feature that grabs you. But you want that brand identity of like, they're listening to me. And I can get TV and heated at the same time. And then, by the way, Bob, they're going to throw in a remote starter. So the seat can be heating while you're drinking your coffee in the kitchen.
Exactly. You warm on the inside and then you warm on the outside. So the way that Honda actually got us from the beginning was Honda Odysseys have a built-in vacuum cleaner.
What?
So it plugs into the back of the actual car and you can vacuum the car using the car. And with 3 young kids at the time, that was an obvious, attack at our pain. And so great way to do it. We've moved past that now, right? We don't need the vacuum, but my wife and I have both been taking GLP-1s. So we both lost a bunch of weight. And with that, our number one negative has been our butts get cold. We've lost a lot of butt. So this has become the number one feature is the heated seats. So they've opened up a new market because GLP-1s are huge here in the States. Yeah. So now we can go after New Englanders, Midwesterns, and GLP-1 that now have a different sensory experience than they had previously.
So he's opened up the whole concept of the second, third, and fourth order of consequences for every solution and the features it has.
We now have a new go-to-market version.
And it could bring up another thing, right? So let's talk about the entire end-to-end structure of the company that's selling the solution, because the salesperson needs to know this in the field, right? So when they're interacting with different personas of who's buying, is it the father, is it the child, who's the person that you're in front of at that point? And then obviously that feedback back up to the chain to product management that says, okay, this is what we're hearing in the market. Maybe we can pivot for the next time around. So it brings some very interesting things into play. Now, Bob, so the person who actually invented the heated seats, right? We almost would call them like problem solvers. So basically, anytime you build something, you can be a business person. You have all these different titles and different roles. But in essence, you're solving some problem. So I like to talk about this persona of this person, this problem solver who saw something, or maybe you can imagine something new and decided to do something about it. So what do you think about when you hear like the term problem solver?
I mean, I love problem solvers, and I consider myself one, so I'm probably biased. Yeah. But I have found that, again, my world kind of revolves around tech startups. So I tend to specifically work with people that either saw a problem and solved it themselves, and that's why this company exists, or they saw a problem that had money associated with it and then had to brainstorm, how do I do a market entry? How do I make a differentiated product? And how do I compete in this space? And both of them are going to require some level of that problem solving. One is more from the business aspect, right? That's where I'm trying to create a wedge within a market that already exists. And one is, I'm an engineer. I can't stand that I don't have a solution for this, so I'm just going to build it. And then the market becomes, well, how do I identify the people that look like me that have that same pain, and I can show them that this exists. Both of those are very valid. They both tend to revolve around kind of the same problem-solving aspect. They just might have different vernacular, right? At the end of the day, and then it becomes my problem, right? My problem is helping these people go to market. And whether you're the engineer, whether you're the business founder, whether you're Bob, it always starts the same way. Stop trying to do what everybody else did and the way that everybody did it. Because if you're doing that, congratulations, that's not innovative. Right? That is copying someone, and you just jump on YouTube and copy what someone else does. That's fine too, but that's not innovation. It's certainly not frontline innovation. It really comes down to breaking everything down. Go to fundamentals. You had a problem. What was your problem? Okay, so I'm an engineer. I had a problem. I'll use Device 42 as an example. That's the company I used to work with, which is where I met you. So Device 42, that was started by Raj. Raj Jalan said, hey, I'm helping people move out of data centers and collapse data centers. And I'm spending the first 4 months figuring out what they have. They have no idea what they have. There's no starting point. I don't know how you get to a destination if you don't know where you're coming from. And so it was a real pain, right? It was a pain of lost time, lost efficiency, and it was a critical pain, right? He can't just bypass this and be like, it is what it is. No, 4 months on a professional services engagement is a huge tax to everyone involved. It saps your willingness to get things done. It saps your customer's budget. It's got an opportunity cost associated with it. It's just not good. And so his response to that was to build an automated discovery system, right? How do I map everything in my environment, every asset, every dependency, and ultimately keep that in always fresh record? That solves the problem. So in order to do that, you need to break it down. Well, how do I discover things? Well, I could do network scans. Well, how can I discover things that aren't on a network scan? Okay, well, I can do an agent, or I can do a manual input. Or once I have this information, how do I make sure it stays fresh? Well, I could set up a scheduling job, right? And so it really comes an exercise of dissecting everything down, breaking it down into every single challenge, every single answer to that challenge. That's how you do the engineering build. The other side of that is, now that you've built a product, you've actually built something that has meaningful value. How do you stop the next person from having to do that? You get them to buy your product. That's the answer, by the way. And it's a great solution, because then you make money. But that guy doesn't know that your answer exists. He's in his data center and he's running with the same problems, but maybe it's not as big a problem, right? Maybe because he's not professional services and it's just his day-to-day thing and gets paid by the hour, maybe he doesn't care enough to actually action it. But if he did know it existed, he could easily justify the budget spend on it. So that's who you're looking for, someone that looks like you. That person might vary. It could be someone doing professional services. It could be someone that's trying to move a data center. But are there other people that have pain that this would answer that aren't looking for that solution? You used to work in security, if I remember correctly. Security might care what you have for assets. It's very hard to secure things you don't know you have. Or operations. If operations is making big changes to platforms, they might want to know what those dependencies are. Because if I move our revenue system and oops, I forgot about that dependency on a database, and I brick the entire application stack, that might be problematic, right? And so everybody often cares about solutions from a different view. So a big part of it is trying to understand this human on the other side. What are their pain points? And how can I map this to them? And that's, if you get that right, you've gone a big step in the right direction on the go-to-market side. Because now you're ready to talk about your product. And people buy from people. So being able to talk to a human is a really important part of that.
Huge. And it's interesting, this journey as you're building this product, you saw this problem, you broke it apart, you're kind of thinking about what might address it. Sometimes some organizations take too long to bring the marketing and the sales and the customer support teams on board. And it's almost at the end as opposed to early.
Yep.
Can you imagine you're a salesperson and get to follow along on this journey and taking notes and asking questions and thinking, okay, here's some objection handling. Okay, this is how I handle the cost question, or who are the people I'm going to be talking to. Because just in your example there, the CFO might care, the CISO, the CTO, the CIO. There's a lot of people in your organization. From that simple thing is, what do we have? Because nothing more embarrassing than going to a room with a CFO and say, we don't really don't know what we have, even though we spent all this money over all these periods of time. But it's important to know.
I see it all the time.
Yeah. And think about that. That one question allows the person in the buyer-seller experience to say very quickly, this is why you should take this call. Take this next meeting.
Yep.
I have something to address this now that's affecting you from an organizational-wise standpoint, as opposed to it's just one department. And that one department said, well, your solution is too expensive. Well, how big is the problem? It's bigger than just one department. And unfortunately, the way organizations are set up, a lot of them, they silo these other groups. And so it's like, throw it over the fence, here's the product, here's the specs, go run with it, go sell it. It's like, hold it. You have more ammunition internally than I think a lot of organizations realize sometimes, so they don't know how to structure it. Now, also, Lee, go ahead.
One of the traps I think people fall into is silotization. And it works. It works in a lot of good ways, right? When you have a bunch of employees working at your company, it's great to have a specialty. It's great to have an engineer. It's great to have a product marketing manager. It's great to have someone who handles channel relationships. The problem, though, is once you start having all those different specialties, all those different silos, people tend to become hyper-focused and look at their specific sliver. Whereas I think if you get these people in the room, you'll find there's so much creativity, right? Like the engineer built this feature to accomplish X, Y, or Z. And then when you have the marketing person explain why that matters, well, now they can start adding some color and flavor to it. It's no longer zeros and ones. It actually accomplishes this thing. And then when you add in the sales team and the events team and the field team and the people who are talking to CTOs at a conference, people who are actually saying these words and seeing what the response is, you'll start to see, okay, is this resonating? And you'll start to fine tune it. And so if you get all these people in the room, I think you'll find it's not a list of features. It's not a pretty graphic. It's not a really expensive booth build. It's not a demo that accurately showed 80 different workflows that they cared about two of. Once you can fine tune all of that, I think that that's where you really start to see that gold, because you innovated, you made something, it accurately works, it functionally works. But to your point, I'm selling to a human. And Carl over here, who works on the help desk team, he might care about not working past 5 o'clock on Friday and getting to beer o'clock quicker. And he might not care about budget, and he might not care about risk, and he might not care about those other things that honestly have a much higher budget associated with it. And Carl might not have any budget. He's just a dude.
Yes.
And so how do I show Carl the two things that he cares about and enough that he can go talk to his boss about something his boss cares about, and I can get that next call? And that's really where I think as a whole, we need to level up and be more innovative in our storytelling. Because his boss does want to know about your product, but you got to get it through Carl first. And then the CFO needs to sign off on it, and you're going to want his approval too, but you got to get through that director first. And so I think if you can map or an exercise, anyone listening to this podcast, free exercise that I love to do, take 4 of your ideal buyer, right? Your ICP on the buyer level. Is that a CFO? Is that a director? Is that a CTO, a CISO, CEO, board member? I don't care. Is it Carl?
I love Carl, yeah.
Find out 4, just make it manageable. Then use AI, cheat. I don't care. Take whatever market segment you're in. I used Device 42. That would be asset discovery. Device 42 was acquired by Freshworks. So then I might switch that to ITSM, right? Just pick whatever your overall kind of solution area is and ask AI, hey, what are the top 3 or 4 concerns that these 4 roles care about with regards to insert your subject, ITSM, asset discovery. And it will give you, the CFO cares about cost, it cares about business continuity, it cares about these 4 things in regards to that. Then take a list of your 10 absolute favorite features. I don't care why they're your favorite features. Maybe you're proud that engineering made them. Maybe they show well in a demo. Maybe they're just pretty and you like it. I don't care what they are. Write them down and then see if you can creatively in any way map any of those features to any of those 12 concerns that you mapped out. And if you can start finding clusters, see if you could tell a story around that in a demo, in a conversation. If I found 3 that are relating to these 2 aspects that a CISO cares about, let's try that conversation. Talk to a CISO, bring up only these 4 features. Don't talk about the 10. Definitely don't talk about the 30. Talk about those 4 and just tie it to that. And then if you want bonus points, add in 1 feature that's not related to that, that's going to be related to someone he needs to talk to. That CISO needs to talk to the CFO. Throw in 1 that talks about ROI or cost justification. So he knows that there's kind of extended value beyond just what he cares about. And I think you'll find a lot more success on getting that message to the audience that actually wants to hear about it. So that's just a free experiment I like to do.
Well, Bob, I think you just laid the groundwork for reimagining the entire sales experience, right? So every VP of sales right now, for any company selling a solution, which is any company, right? You're in business because you have a solution. And I think traditionally the sales process has, been very silo, very myopic. We're just going to follow very specific roadmaps. But what you just laid out there is a way to, we got a lot of new tools here that can help facilitate this. We have all this screen time with each other, right? We can make better use of it. But to go in and to say in 40 minutes in front of the entire team of your prospect that you can weave this story together and talk about the CFO perspective, talk about Carl's perspective, compliance, CISO, CTO, the end user, right? You have the tooling to be able to actually to narrate that, bring up points that you don't have, right? And just call it out, right? You don't have to hide that we don't do these extra features that somebody mentioned. But you could also bring up, the human story and say, we could add these extra features at a certain cost standpoint. And then even bring in competitors, say some of our competitors provide it, but there's some other deficiencies that might be problematic. But if you talk human to human with 4 or 5 other people across the table from you, and you have your team with you, right? You can weave a much faster experience to figure out, is this a good match? Is it close enough? Yeah. Because some people get discouraged because we're missing 3 of the features they asked for. Well, maybe your competitors don't have those features as well either, but you have all the critical ones. Yeah.
Or they have the feature, but does the feature actually add value? Or did I just staple or bolt it on so I can say I have the feature and it's actually a liability? Because now maybe you have false hope that you have a feature that doesn't actually function, or you've put such a support load on the vendor that your overall experience actually goes down. I think features for the sake of features is typically a bad idea. If you're a company that is creating stuff, stick to the lane, that you know you're doing well and really hone in on the pain and value that you solve for, and don't try and be all things to everyone, right? I mean, that typically ends up being a hot mess for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not doing yourself a favor, and it's certainly not doing your customer a favor, overextending your engineering team, overextending your support team, adding confusion into your channel team, right? So when you're trying to sell through the channel, through partners, you've added all these widgets. They certainly don't know which one of those are real and which ones are kind of, they look good on paper, but don't actually sell those because it's going to kill the deal. And so you don't want to tread into waters that aren't safe. Stick with the things you do well. In fact, I would say strip out features. Really focus on being the best at things that have pain associated with them. Just be the best at that. Be the gold standard at a small subset. And I think it's going to be easier for you to sell than trying to be everything to everyone. Because somebody has more budget and can throw more developers at it than you can. You won't stay there.
And you got to be smart about it, right? Because maybe you don't need to spend.
Be a king of a niche market if you want to be innovative.
And I think sometimes companies fall in the trap of trying to build everything, when in fact, maybe it's an integration work that either internal service team or maybe a partner could provide, which actually gets you the outcome that the customer is looking for. A lot of times it's the special reporting or the dashboarding or some type of automation. And that's when you start to think the problem solver mode is, we don't need to build this right now. I got a couple of engineers who can do an integration piece that's solid. We can just roll into the rollout of the solution.
Bingo. Rely on partners.
Or maybe,
right? There's plenty of service partners out there. There's integration partners. If you build the right functionality, it doesn't need to be the most perfect, beautiful thing you've ever seen. It doesn't need to be every single dashboard. It needs to be the mechanics to build every dashboard. And then you can use your system integrators. You can use your GSIs. You can use these public or these professional service partners to go and do the last mile. And that's going to ultimately serve you better as the innovator, because when you bring in that partner has a product too. It's called a relationship. And when I bring in a partner to leverage their relationship with my ultimate prospect, that makes my sales cycle easier. It makes my value transition easier. And it also helps me reduce churn, right? Because now the partner's selling for me. They're also retaining that relationship for me. They're also making sure they get a quicker time to value because they're actually in the business doing it. And because they've offered the customization, that means they've made it more attuned to what that customer will need long term. And it's going to be harder for a competitor to dislodge me. So in general, I'm such a huge fan of partners. I think it helps you focus on the things that are actually important. Plus, it is also your biggest lever for scale.
And to give you data, right? Because the initial data is like, hey, let's just go build this service practice in-house. Well, you sure we have enough customers for it?
Right.
Well, to find out, use somebody else third party.
We're going to find out. Nope, we didn't.
If you find out you only use that partner once in all your opportunities, then maybe you don't need to build it in-house. However, if you use this person 20 times, okay, that's interesting. Maybe we build it in-house. Maybe we acquire them. But now we have information. We have actual data on how often this feature or functionality is being enabled by a third party. Maybe from a business standpoint, well, we can make that adjustment. But one thing people have to be careful about is not making the process too kludgy, because you've probably seen it where they got the third party integrator in and you get like 20 people on the call, like, what is this? You still need to front end the outcome with the same company and make it smooth. And don't get on the call and act like, okay, what do you guys do again in front of a prospect? So it's like, not at all. It's like, what is this? Your prospect shouldn't
act like you've been here before.
And say over a 5-year period that you used to have the internal capability, then you got a third party, then you rolled it into your product. The customer shouldn't see that. They should know what the price point looks like, the cost, the investment, and they just know your team is front ending that, right? That salesperson, that pre-sales engineer, architect, And customers should say your brand is just smooth. And behind the scenes is all the magic, right? We're hiding that complexity. And when you don't hide that complexity, customers and prospects are very, very frustrated.
Touching on a point you said earlier, which I think is a huge problem almost every single innovator struggles with. Every single new company struggles with this. I struggle with this. I suspect it's 100% of people struggle with this, which is the concept around pricing, price avoidance, price justification, all of that stuff. You want to wrap the services engagement, the professional services, the partner margin, all of that into the upfront price. That is the right answer. The problem is everyone is afraid of sticker shock. And they should be, because actually 99.99% of all people hate spending money. They don't want, their goal is not to just throw money away, right? So everyone is conscious about money. What's very easy is when you tie it to value. Yes. If you have a price problem, it means you didn't explain the value. Because if you told me, hey, Bob, will you give me $1 million and I can guarantee with this affidavit that I will give you $3 million next week, I will find a way to come up with $1 million.
Yes.
Like, I don't have $1 million, but if I'm guaranteed to turn it into $3 million, that is a very easy decision. And if you make the same deal with $1 billion, I'll start calling up Elon Musk and asking if I could borrow $1 billion, right? Because if you tied it to the value and the return, and it's a 3x return, that's an easy decision for anyone to make, whether they have budget or not. So that's what you should be thinking. You shouldn't be thinking my price. You should be thinking, did I actually translate the value? Do I understand what their pain is? Do I understand what their cost of doing nothing is? Do I understand that my solution is actually accomplishing this by getting this partner involved and getting a return of value in 3 weeks instead of 2 quarters? Does that have a financial aspect that justifies that cost of including that partner? And if you can't answer those questions, you've kind of failed at this sales cycle. So I think tying it to value is important because it's going to help you with that sales conversation. It's going to help you with the price justification. It's going to help you with all those important parts of the sales cycle. And this is going to be a very recurring topic for me, which is you break things down to the fundamental. You cannot talk about value if you haven't already mapped out how those features turn to business value. If you have no way to say this heated seat means anything to a human being, you're going to have a hard time justifying that that's increased the price of the car $200 because I've done nothing to justify it at all. So you need to do that homework. You need to do the translation layer. And if you haven't, everything is going to be harder. Your go-to-market messaging, your sales cycles, your partner enablement, your understanding of your own product truth. What does your product do? What does it not do? That's just as important.
Yes.
And so I like to say, ultimately, it comes down to, when I'm helping people, it comes down to 6 pillars of go-to-market. And one of the first ones that we talk about is product truth. What do you do? What do you not do? We need to know that before we start translating that into why a human should care.
Yes. And I think every proposal or every, price or quote should be right up front, that first thing to what's the pain point that you guys have told us that we've observed and we put together in a cohesive story, right? So first page, Carl's boss is paying, what you guys tried in the past, what does it cost if we don't fix this problem? We should notice up front and then see the $100,000 number. And then $100,000 number all of a sudden doesn't look expensive because CFO just saying this cost them $500,000. They got these critical paths. The project managers say, if we don't get this in 6 weeks, we can't do it. And they're the only ones available. So all of a sudden you put this together on that first page, like, I got a headache. Let's start there. And I got a big speech to do tomorrow. Well, for $3.50,
it's such an easy conversation.
Boom, you should see that immediately. But if you see some of the proposals, it's like you churning through it. And it's a long presentation with a lot of people on the call. It's like you're hiding what's obvious. Let's find out immediately how much pain you have And then it's like, you know what? I'm willing to actually, make this value exchange. And then when they say, hey, why are you so much cheaper? That's my favorite question, because we don't have all this extra stuff in there. Your team can pull it out through API and do it. I don't need to bog it down with extra stuff for compliance. We already talked to your team. They already have these other things. But the person who's looking at the demo may not know what their other teammates in the background are doing. But we did due diligence. We talked to the entire stack and during this process. They said, oh, man, I didn't realize my guys could do that. Yeah, they got some tooling already. We talked to this guy. They can do some automation here. And all of a sudden, the story becomes very powerful. 100,000 makes sense. Let's go do this.
It becomes, the goal is to make it a no-brainer. The goal is to make it so the vendor wins, the partner wins, the customer wins, and then one thing that a lot of people skip over, make sure the buyer wins. I want the buyer to get a promotion because he hired us or he bought our product or something like that. My goal is to make that person look like the smartest guy you ever hired. Because that's going to result in more money for me, to be honest. Like, I'll get the referral. We'll get the repeat business. We won't get churn. He ultimately will get a promotion or do something or move on to the next job. And you know who he's going to want to hire again?
Yes.
You.
Yes.
So if you can make every sale count as 2 or 3 sales, you're going to find yourself a very rich rep or SE.
Yes.
or something in that mix. People buy from people. Make them look good when they interact with you.
And another thing, low-hanging fruit, you already know what this buyer is going to need to get this approved, right? So having information ready to go already. The testimonials from other people, the engineering specs, the things the CFO, they're going to ask about, right? They're going to ask for some options.
It's a technical product. He's going to have to do a security review. Have your stuff ready for that SAR. It's going to happen.
Or the CFO want to see 1 year, 3 years. I mean, with tooling now,
you've already done an ROI calculation, put it into a deck, make it CFO friendly, give it to the guy. Again, he'll look like an all-star.
And make it easy for their entire team to call in with follow-up questions, right? They're going to want follow-ups. There's no need to be going back with this email, reply all the 20 people. Like, almost like customer support, right? You call in, your CFO has some questions, compliance person has some questions, CISO, and we just move this process along. And all of a sudden, they're going to say, they really on their game. They act like they actually been in business for 30 years. They actually know what they're doing. This is a smooth running organization. And they can get very quickly to yes or no, right? Because you don't want this dragging out. If we're the wrong fit for your problem, let's find it as soon as possible here so we can move on to some other prospects here.
I like to be very transparent on the things that I'm good at and the things I'm bad at. And some of the things I'm bad at are reading and remembering. Yeah. So I don't remember the title of the book or the author, so have fun with this. But it was around the concept of buyer enablement. We like to do sales enablement. We like to teach our sales teams how to sell better. But our salespeople sell all the time. These buyers might buy once, twice a year. Like, you need to have a mindset of buyer enablement. You know what they're going to struggle with probably more than they do. So you should already be thinking, look, this guy's going to need to clear it through the CFO. He's going to need to clear it through security. He's going to need to worry about procurement. And he might not have done this before. So you should be thinking about that up front. Like, how can I make sure this guy has what he needs to make this as seamless as possible? Because what he does know is he does know what this pain is. And he does know that he needs a solution, but he might not know how to procure it. And he might not have the juice within his own company to pull levers and work relationships. So help them. Help them buy.
Yes. They need your stuff. They want your stuff. And when they say it's a price,
get it.
And I like the other, when companies don't lock themselves in. We have some companies who just do product, and they really don't worry about the services. They say, well, your team can do it. Here's a handoff sheet. But sometimes you look at the business model and say, you know what? I really think we can enhance this product with the addition of services, or flip it the other way around. We got services, but it's missing something, right? We give it a recommended top 5 to 10 products you can add to make it work. But you know what? Let's take that off. Maybe that's the opportunity to actually provide the product along with the services and it's just packaged as just the solution, right? Here's the fix to your solution. Because we took the problem apart, we identified all the different pain points. We should understand the market, what's competitively out there. We know what's cool with AI. So it's like, don't tell me it's AI enabled. Tell me something new that this thing can do to fix a symptom or the core problem because of AI, not just because it's AI enabled. Like AI enabled, what does that mean? Does it mean that you're gonna find the problem faster, solve my back pain faster, heat my seat faster? If not, you're just muddying up the water with marketing terminology.
As someone who has lived in marketing and done thought leadership pieces for Forrester and Gartner, I will tell you that I feel like 2025 was the year of AI. And like every board member wanted it. Every exec team said you needed to buy it. The problem is, I think there's a lot of disenchantment with it this year because it didn't deliver on all the promises of last year. I think what we need to be showing in 2026, the metric that's going to matter, the KPI, is adoption of AI. You do not need to procure AI. You need to use AI. And so it is your job as the vendor or the innovator or something like that to explain how to actually adopt it, how to actually use it in a way that's going to have a business impact. Yeah. It is not good enough to say AI powered or AI workflow. Why do I care? Is it helping me go to market faster? Is it helping me keep customers? Is it helping me respond faster, quicker time to value, something like that? A great example I used, and anyone that's in the space, feel free to steal it. You have these companies like Freshworks, like ServiceNow, like all these different ITSM vendors. And they want to say AI helps, AI, all these workflows, automated workflows. But I think instead, AI should not be what you're telling people. What you should be telling people is a less sexy feature that I think is the way to adopt AI. So here's one that I liked to use, ESM, Enterprise Service Management. The whole concept of that is it's not pushing your ticketing system into other departments. It's really meeting other departments where they're at. So it's not saying finance needs to worry about ITIL best practices because finance doesn't know or care what you're talking about. HR doesn't, finance doesn't, legal doesn't. Nobody cares about your ITIL processes. IT does, but these other departments don't. And so ESM allows you to say, well, what are your workflows? What are the tools that you use? How do you typically engage with the system? I will build the automation. I will build the translation, and I will meet you where you're at. And it will make your job easier because you didn't have to learn IT. But I still, as the IT department, have full observability. I have full governance over it. I have all the automation. I have all the data I can do analysis against. And I have ultimately extended ITSM out to you, but in a way where you adopt it. How do we do that? AI helps with that because AI can help with the translating IT to HR. It can help with the integrating of these different platforms so their FinOps tools integrate in with your ticketing system, so on and so forth. So instead of saying you need to buy AI, be like, I think ESM is actually going to be what makes the CIO look transformative in a boardroom. Here's how it works. We leverage AI to help with that ESM adoption and blah, blah, blah. And I think that that's ultimately the same thing, right? You're trying to get them to buy AI, but you've made it in a way that actually shows the value. This AI will help you accomplish XYZ, which will make you look good to the board, which will make you transformative to the company. We're selling to the buyer. We're making the buyer the hero. But we're still selling our product. We're still translating all those features and functionalities into business value. And I think ultimately that's going to resonate a lot more than an incredibly loud market of buy AI, which I think almost all of us are very sick of hearing.
In a couple of years, it's going to be like, oh, our stuff's in the cloud. Okay. Hey, we got computers. Okay. We got 100,000 new employees. Okay. We got 100,000 new AI agents. The prospect doesn't care about any of that. It's like, how much
Right.
does it cost me to fix this problem? And you tell me about what was like workflow versus manual versus automated. Hey, I'll just switch our storage array to a new vendor. They don't care. All I know is my pricing is stabilized or went down or went up. That's all they care about.
Carl does not care about your
Yeah,
tokens.
yeah. And then I used to go to the store to buy to get the VHS tape or to put it in my VCR versus streaming it. At the end of the day, they're just different functionalities behind the scenes. I just want to watch a movie. Both got to do
Yeah.
it. So is the same cost, less? That's all I care about. And I think we get caught up in telling you so much about the how. It's like my car making noise today. I took it to the mechanic. 2 hours later, I had some coffee. I got some free Wi-Fi. Car came out. Car no longer making noise. I can afford it.
I will absolutely pick the mechanic that has a better waiting experience.
Yes.
It often even costs more, and that's not what's top of mind for me. It's the experience, right? It's getting that coffee. It's the place that gives donuts and stuff like that. You're like, you make it easy to say yes. It's the same thing with your movie experience, right? Like if you told me, hey, we save on plastic or something, I'm like, I don't know that that's a big driver for me. But they're like, wouldn't you like to be able to watch a movie right now?
Yeah.
Like you thought of The Matrix. Do you want to watch that right now? Or do you want to have to like go get in your DeLorean, go back in time and go to a Blockbuster to rent it? You're like, I'll just take the watch it now.
And it's going to provide more. Yeah.
And it's the experience, right? It's the experience is a very human connection.
And when you over promote something, now the expectation is I'm expecting a shorter wait time. I expect my doctor to have more information faster. I expect my mortgage person to get back to me faster. But if none of that improves, but you told me about all the new cool technology, it's like, so why aren't you applying it? Why am I not experienced at a minimum? What? Show me something new. Because right now you could like plop down $1 million and can't find anybody to actually do the work. Well, they can do work, but they can't deliver it. And it's like, okay, there's no one who's going to innovate and get out in front to provide that.
In a world of artificial intelligence, the thing that I think we're undervaluing is real intelligence.
Yes.
Like I don't know how many times I use AI all the time, right? And the way that I use AI is when I have it write articles, I have it interview me. And so it's all my thoughts, it's all my structure, it's all my thinking, and then it does the actual fabricating of it. And then I still have to edit it. If I let it write an article without interviewing me, it is hot trash. Like it is not valuable to anybody. And so many people will just rely on AI as gospel truth and they'll just throw it out there. And it is so dumb. Like, not you're dumb, you're fine, but AI is so dumb.
Yeah.
It's
No
so
context
dumb.
at all.
So you've got to use an editorial eye. You've got to use critical thinking skills. And I think that that's a problem. It is fast. It is lightning fast. If you want to drive off the cliff and you want to drive off the cliff a lot faster, use AI. It will help you get to that fail state wicked fast.
Totally.
But if you're not using it smart, all it's going to add is liability, but quicker, like really quick liability.
And I think that's why we sometimes got to revisit the word innovation, right? What does that mean? Because some people are really locked into only innovation as a technology enhancement and not innovation the way we think, right? Because humans by nature have to innovate to survive on this planet. And it may
adapt, react.
So maybe it's a user interface change. Maybe it's somebody picking up a hammer and just doing something. Maybe it's changing the color scheme or something. Maybe it's the financial model of how you pay for the solution, right? Because I tell you, you can walk out with a $50,000 car but put no money down. Well, that's an innovation in the financial models, right? Or the way I interact with you. There's so many ways that's a part of innovation beyond just the tech. I think sometimes people get locked into, I got to go build something, sell it to you, and so it can head to your basement and get stored.
And people sometimes undervalue that. And it's not always like you give the example of the $50,000 car. You're removing a barrier, right? You're removing a barrier by saying, here's how we can make this a yes now. and we can worry about this maybe a little bit down the line. An anecdote from my world, this happened to us the day before Thanksgiving. We were hosting Thanksgiving and our oven broke the day before. I'm like, dude, this is a Super Bowl. Like, you can't break the day before Thanksgiving. And so it very quickly became well, what can I get today at Lowe's? Is it the perfect model? No. Is it the best deal? No. But it is what is available right now, and right now is the determining factor. Because I need it tonight to start cooking for tomorrow. And Amazon next day is going to be one day too late.
We can experiment with what it's like to microwave a turkey. What? We're going to be very innovative in this process. It's about this turkey horrible.
Well, I read something once that talked about like how, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just transformed. So when you slap something, it turns into sound and heat. And so I read the math on how many times and how quickly you need to slap a turkey in order to cook it. It's a lot of slaps.
But you know what you should do there? You should like expand between it just being your problem to everybody in your household's problem. So if you have some guests over and there's 20 people for Thanksgiving, guess what? You get around the table and say, look at that. What's that, Bob? It's a frozen turkey. Oven's broken. Yeah. What can we do? They're like, what? Huh? They said, we're going to bring everybody on board and see who can come up with something. And
let's get the engineers in here.
And a young kid.
So here's the problem.
Young kid said, put the speaker next to the turkey, turn up the music real loud. And I heard the vibrations that would cook this bird.
There's some hot music. See if is it cooking in here? My 13-year-old would say that something cooks or not. So maybe.
Well, then you know what the solution is going to be? Well, it's not about the food. It's about the experience of friends and family at Thanksgiving. We got some Hot Pockets in the freezer. We're going to microwave that. That's going to be the best Thanksgiving.
Those can be microwaved. Yes. Those don't need to go in the oven. We're good.
Yeah. Oh, man.
There are multiple paths up to the top of the mountain. They're not all the same, but different ways to the top.
Now, is there anything we haven't covered around innovation that you?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
But we still got 3 more hours.
3 hours more to go. There we go. So you think about this innovation on the front lines and all these possibilities, right? We got new tooling going to help us ideate faster. This last mile of innovation on marketing and sales, we can ideate, we can experiment faster, quicker. So what do you think about it?
There's so many different ways, and honestly, I wish I could just give everyone advice on everything, and people could tell me that I'm full of it, or even better than that, they actually get something out of the advice. I want to see people win, and it's one of the things that motivates me. It tends to be why I like startups and stuff like that, because it usually is similar-minded people. They've drank the Kool-Aid. They think they're onto something. They want to see it win, and they believe that it can. And I think that that's a huge part of it. Now, once you're in that mindset, there are so many different paths to value that you can take advantage of. AI is so good for that speed of iteration. I use it all the time in the creative minds, like brainstorming. Hey, what if I did this? Hey, can you show me what this would look like? Hey, what if we tweaked this and did this? Right? Something that would take me months and months, I can crank through in 2 hours. That's a really strong point of AI. It is not good at decision making. It is great at iteration. So if you need statistics analyzed, if you need something scanned or summarized, great uses of AI. You want it to create something new for you, terrible use of AI. Use your own intelligence, use AI to iterate. The final mile is getting that human interaction. People buy. Companies do not buy anything. Companies don't have pain. People have pain. People work at companies. People buy things. At the end of the day, a company does not sign checks. It's somebody at a company signs a check. So people buy people. That's how it still works. That's how it's going to work for a long time. So relying on partners to do that last mile is a great solution, especially for startups, because it allows them to scale where they couldn't scale themselves, right? If I can give a partner margin, and that's success-based, right? It's only when they're interacting with a customer. It's only when they've made a deal. It costs me nothing. It just takes a margin off of it. I'm still winning. Maybe I'm only winning 85%. I don't care. I'll take 85% of nothing, of something, instead of 100% of nothing. So, using partners to scale your team is so good, especially for a startup or a technology innovator. Constant talking to people. It is very expensive to do an event, right? If you're going to do a conference and you're getting a booth, the ego in you wants to be like, well, what if I got a 20 by 10, or what if I got a 20 by 20? You probably, if you're asking if you should, you probably shouldn't. Yeah. You should probably just get a 10 by 10 and show up and start having conversations. There's so much value to that. A lot of people want to only look at, what did I get for pipeline? What did I get for opportunities? Especially for your innovation companies, your startup companies, things like that. The real value is actually in the conversations. It's when I'm talking to a CTO and it's not in a sales cycle and they're giving me actual, real, transparent feedback. I can see, are they glazing over? Are they leaning in? Do they ask a qualifying question? If I'm getting interaction from them when they don't have to listen to me, they're not trapped in a Zoom call, they're not stuck in a room, they can walk away at any point, that's value, even though it doesn't look like pipeline. So taking advantage of every opportunity, whether that's to scale without upfront cost through a partner, whether that's finding out how you actually translate this to a human being, whether it's all these different functions, take advantage of it. Iterate with AI. Like the amount of value I get out of $20 ChatGPT a month, like I don't understand how these companies are replacing a ton of people and then going bankrupt. Like, keep that one person, give them a $20 subscription to Claude or something, you'll be fine. Like, you'll get more out of them. You'll still have the human judgment. You see these oracles and stuff just getting rid of tens of thousands of people and then be like, oops, my bad. Don't do that. So, I don't know. There's better ways to innovate than innovating with AI. Don't do that.
I think everybody should go out there today and find themselves a Carl.
Yep.
Find out what problems Carl have and figure out if you can fix some of the problems. And I think it's going to steer you the right direction.
Yep. And then another free exercise that I like to tell people is always surround yourself with people smarter than you, but also people that are dumber than you on a subject, in particular, the subject you care about. My wife and my kids are the unfortunate recipients of this. They do not understand technology. So my job is to, how can I get them to understand whatever my topic is? And if I can successfully explain this technology feature in a way that my wife, who does not know or care about technology, can understand and regurgitate the value back to me, I've accomplished something. If I can get my 9-year-old daughter to understand it, if I can get my 10-year-old ADHD boy who just wants to go outside and kick balls to understand it, I have done the work. And so usually that involves me doing something like taking some kind of business continuity problem and magically turning it into a horticulture conversation to talk to my wife. But if she gets it and gives it back to me, I've gotten something valuable out of it. So find that person who does not care about what you do and try and get them to understand it. It's the same exact skill you'd use when you're talking about football or baseball or something to someone who doesn't care, right? You know what to leave out, what to put in, what excitement to show, what to not show. Use that same muscle when you're talking about whatever your product is, whatever your innovation is. Meet them where they're at. Stop trying to force them to be where you're at.
It's fantastic, Bob. So we're going to take a break here. We got about 8 more hours of recording to go. So I'm going to let you get a cup of coffee.
Take a bio break.
Hey, man, I really appreciate your time today, man. It's been
a pleasure as always, my friend.
Conversation. All right, man, I appreciate it. That has been another episode of the Frontline Innovation Podcast. Thank you for your time. Innovation doesn't end with a great idea or a product on the shelf. It continues through the realization that someone's problem was fixed after they used the solution. If this episode helped you see a problem more clearly or think differently about how solutions reach the front lines, share it with someone who's doing that work alongside you. And if you're building, designing, selling, or supporting solutions meant to last, subscribe to the Frontline Innovation Podcast, the voice of problem solvers. Because progress isn't driven by ideals alone. It's built by those willing to dismantle problems and do the work that follows. Until next time, stay on the front line and go dismantle a human problem.